Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you some of my artwork or my photography using a screen capture software. I've never used this kind of stuff before, so hopefully it's going to work and everything will be good. I think you can see my mouse if I move around on the screen, so that'll be cool. You may even be able to see that move about, hopefully. So, let's show you the first image that we've got here. So this image was taken in Devon. This is at Croyd Bay. It's a beautiful place. It's I've been there once before. Went with my fiance and her family, and this is quite high up on a sand dune ridge overlooking the sea, and you can see the sun just starting to set in the right side of the image. And then you've got these reeds near the front here, and the camera's right down amongst the reeds, just soaking in the sunlight. And compositionally, I've tried to have it so 1/3 is the sky and 2/3 of the image is the foreground. Photographers know the general rule called the rule of thirds. The rule of thirds. Basically, the image is split into thirds. So 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, and then the same horizontally as well, like this. And the idea is to make things line up with the lines. So here's something in the first third, the grass, and you've got the distant background in the second third, and then the sky in the top third. You also have the sun lined up on the third on the right, so it's nicely set up. And as we go through my photos, you'll see lots of different compositions, but they'll all have similar rules in place, so maybe you'll learn something as you relax. So let's go to another image and see if I'm going the right way. Yes. So this is also in Devon, and now this one's less of a landscape and more of a view. Now what I mean by that is, I mean obviously it's a landscape, but a landscape tends to have something of interest in it. A view is something that you sort of gaze at, but there's nothing of interest. You just enjoy the colours or enjoy the emptiness. This is what I would call a view. There are images in here that have a similar theme to this sunset, but they have something in them, and we'll come to those as we go. So here again you can see 1/3 sky, 2/3 ground, and it works nicely. You know, it comes together nicely. So let's have a look. Let's move to another one. Now, just off the shore of Devon, or actually Ilfracombe it's called, there is a small island called Lundy Island, and it takes 2 hours to get across there, and I think it was £35 to take the boat, and the boat itself was quite rickety-rockety, but it was a cool experience as well. And me and my fiance went across, see if we could see some puffins and some seals, and just take some photography as we were going. So this image here, I believe that this is a hay baler. Absolutely no idea how it works. You can see the chute So maybe it goes in the top and boom, out it comes. And again, maybe you can start to see the way that the images come together. So here I have lined up the hay baler where two intersections meet of the thirds, and then you've got the 2/3 foreground, 1/3 sky. Now the way that I sort of decide which one to go for, as in, do I go for 2/3 sky, 1/3 foreground, or vice versa, is more to do with what's more interesting. What's the purpose of that shot? So, in this case, the hay baler is the purpose of this shot, and I wanted to focus on it, as if I was really down amongst the hay, looking up at this thing. So that's why I've kept it, with more ground than the sky. The sky's quite dramatic. It did rain a few times that day, but gives it that sort of punch. This particular image, I've put a green filter over the top just to sort of make it a more moody shot rather than a bright, vibrant blue or something like that. I think it helps make the sky look more dramatic as well. These pictures aren't in particularly good order, so we're sort of back and forth with description, but hopefully you'll like it all the same. So this is actually at Ilfracombe Harbour, and this is basically where they pick you up and take you to the island. And it's not my favourite shot, but things you've got here is a little bit different with the composition. You've got leading lines. So a leading line is very simply, it's a bit like reading. So when you read left to right. You follow the page. The point of a leading line is to make you follow the image. So here you've got this line going along here, leading you to the distance, and then leading you across to this mountain. It's like a sort of a zigzag. You've also got these lines that draw you to the mountain this way with these shadows. And these are the leading lines. And again, you've got the sky and the foreground separated into thirds. It's quite a mathematical thing in a way. Not hard maths, of course. My maths is pretty terrible. But you just train your eye to see things in a different way. This is a completely different image. As I said, these things aren't in order. This was at a zoo, and I had a 35mm lens. And this friendly fella, or lady, not really sure, maybe it's a lady, it's got very long eyelashes, was very friendly and kept doing that thing that like puppies do where they turn their head, and if you turn your head they turn their head more, and I kept doing it with the camera in my hand, just turning my head further and further until this little parrot was right at that angle. It was nearly a portrait image, but obviously maintained the landscape ratio, being that it's longer horizontally than it is vertically. So there's not really a rule going on here. Just using your eyes and finding a good angle, and you can see there's a lot of detail up here, and I just like the colours as well. There's a lot of. This is a very friendly parrot. That gives me good memories. We're at another beach. This one here is quite a funny story, really. I set myself up at the top of another hill, and I wasn't sure where the sun was going to set. So I set up camp, if you like, and then realised the sun was actually going to set somewhere else, just behind this ridge here, behind this mountain. And when I realised this, I made a run for it. I ran all the way down here to try and get closer to the sunset, but it was too late. the sun had already dropped behind this area at the back here. But when I came back, I realised that actually my footprints had made quite a cool picture. So I got really low to the ground with a really wide angle lens. Popped my focus point where this first footprint is, and then just got a crisp picture with the camera sitting on a tripod. You can see the detail in the image. This is taken on my Fujifilm camera. Let's get some water. Let's have a look what else we have. Oh, we're back to the zoo again. So this little chap, he had so much fruit. It was great. He had a feast of food. And I just had to keep snapping because he was so quick. You've seen these little monkeys, they're so quick. They've got such good expression as well. I think he's smiling. You see that little corner of his mouth? He's happy to be eating that piece of, I'm not really sure what it is really, but he seems to be pretty happy. So that's pretty cool. Now this one here, as you can see, I decided to have the sky as the predominant focus by making it 2/3 of the frame. Now this is kind of done deliberately to create what some people call negative space. And then negative space is pretty much what it says, you have something of interest and then nothing. So something of interest and then nothing. A blank sky is quite good at making this effect. Or a wall. So if you were shooting a portrait, you could, have them just maybe their head, not even the neck, just their head in the picture, and then nothing over to the side. So you could have a head in the bottom left-hand corner looking up, and then just nothing around, and that would be negative space. It can be used very creatively. It's kind of like your mind thinks what should be there, or where is that person looking? What are they thinking? Because there's no clues in the image. Like in here, the person's got their foot hanging out the window, and he's just chilling in the car. What's he thinking? Maybe he's having a quick rest. Maybe he's reading something. Leaves the mind to wander, rather than having all the clues given to you. And this one's Lundy Island, so that's the boat over there. Now this shot, this is a landscape rather than a view. Realistically they're kind of the same thing, but as I said, a view would be where there's nothing really going on in the foreground. A view would be like this at the back here, but without the rock. Nothing here, just blue sea or something. That would be more of a view. This is a landscape because you've got something in the foreground, something in the middle ground, and then the distance. So it's a landscape. It's the whole. You've got something going on all the way through the vision. And what I've done here is I've put the focus on these little flowers, and it's kind of untraditional. Normally you'd have all of this in focus, the whole picture. But I kind of wanted to draw attention to something that wasn't necessarily the obvious choice. Sometimes when you have a beautiful view such as this in the background, you stop looking at all the cool little things. And that's why I kind of took this picture, something to deliberately focus upon the smaller detail. And again, you can see here, this one compositionally is set up to obey many rules. So, as you may have guessed it by now, the top section is 1/3. Because the focus is here, where the flowers are, it's 2/3 foreground, and the focus point is here, and then you've got a leading line. So this bridge leads you out to the boat, and the boat is actually on the intersection of the thirds. So again, that's there. This is on the intersection of the thirds of this section here. So it obeys all of the ideas of rules to photography, and it's like anything. You get given the rules, and then you can break them. If you don't have the rules, it's hard to find a firm foundation. I find that if you obey the rules, at least to start with, you get a lot more, that's a keeper kind of shots. You take it and you think, oh, something nice about that picture. Well, it's because these rules work for whatever reason. It's like if you were reading a book. If the words went up the page and down the page and round in circles, it would be painful to read it. It's laid out in a way that makes sense. When you follow the rules, the picture's laid out in the way that makes sense to the brain. It just looks at it and goes, that's a nice picture. And if you don't know the rules, you just enjoy the picture. If you know the rules, then you've got the opportunity to let other people enjoy your photography as well. This picture here is a little bit extreme, similarly to the one I just showed you. This one's perhaps a little bit too extreme in terms of the focus, but I like the colours, so don't always get it right. I'm not a professional photographer, so there you go. So this here is still on Lundy Island, but I got nice and low to the ground. This kind of suits my style. I've got it so you've got 1/3 and 2/3 on the foreground and skyline. I've got this little bit of plantation lining up with the thirds here, and I've got a lens that can really knock the background out of focus, which is what it's done here. So it's only this tiny little bit that's in focus here, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool what my lens can do anyway. As I say, I think this picture's perhaps a little bit too extreme in the focus selection or the depth of field. So, but as I say, we all make mistakes. This picture here, a lot of my friends like this picture. Now this is the other example. So rather than having everything foreground based and then a little bit of sky, this one, I feel like this church is on the edge of the world. You just see the church and then there's nothing. And I wanted to make it feel like it's the only thing there. So rather than having lots of foreground showing other details, I made it so that the foreground or horizon line was 1/3 and the sky was 2/3. So what this does is it gives this dramatic, aside from the clouds, the clouds are so dramatic. It was just after the storm, I think, or maybe just before the storm. I can't remember, but it gives this dramatic, earthy kind of feel. And what I've done with the colours here, I've sort of mattified them. So a matte finish is something that's perhaps not shiny. If you get your pictures printed in a store, they generally speaking always print them on a glossy finish. Gives it that shininess. I wanted this to look more like a painting. So, I've taken the colours down a little bit, and I've taken the contrast down a little bit in the mid-tones, which gives it that kind of painted feel. So, and again, you can see those rules in place that I've mentioned on every photograph. You've got this church hitting these lines, these invisible compositional lines, and it just works, again, you may not like the photography that I take, when you're looking just at the rules, these follow the rules, and some of them don't, and some of them don't work. You know, not every picture comes out well. I try and hang on to the ones that I like, and you get better and better at chopping away the pictures that you don't want to keep. Like this picture here. Now, I love the colour. It's such a lovely colour. And I like the detail in the hay bale. But even when I was shooting this picture, I realised that it takes up too much of the frame. There's nothing else there. Now, I couldn't really do much about it because there wasn't anything else there. I couldn't put something there. But I couldn't avoid the colour. I had to take the picture because the sun was just beating down on this area. So it's a keeper, but it's not a printer. It's not one that I would print out. It's just one that I'll keep floating around, and every now looking back at it and think, I wish there was something in the background, but there wasn't. And this one kind of doesn't follow the rules because, you know, obviously I've separated the horizon and so on, but this doesn't really cross over. It just dominates the frame. You know, it takes over the whole screen nearly. Maybe that's why it doesn't work. I don't know. This picture here was taken at a harbour, and it was quite late in the day. And as I said before, the pictures I like taking tend to be, especially with landscapes, I like to get down to the ground, see the details that you might miss otherwise. So I think this chain was attached to a boat. I assume it keeps them in place, some form of anchor. It's not like the anchors you see in Popeye movies or something, but you know, I think they are anchors. And again, you can see, I mean, this one's nice with the sun just starting to drop behind the buildings, and how it shimmers and goes along the water just before the water starts to come back in again. And then again, you've got these leading lines. The only problem is they don't really lead to anything specifically. Maybe that one leads to this boat here, but you know, it's kind of cool. I mean, the chain itself wasn't very big, but because I got so close to it, it kind of distorts the perspective. So this is another one in the same place, and I just saw the sun really just fighting to get round this boat that I had to take a picture. And here's a leading line, this rope going up to the edge, and so I actually focused on the rope. And yeah, I mean, it's just a snap really, but I like it. I like the colour. Sorry, not the colour. I like the light, and that's why I took the picture. This is where we were surfing in Devon, and that's not me, because I was taking a picture, just a random man, and he was just about to meet his lady. He gave his lady a kiss, and I missed it. I just put my camera down, and I missed it. That would have been a cool shot, you know, nice colour and beach and everything, but I missed it. So, but it happens, you know, it happens. And here again, you've got the 2/3, 1/3, and he's sort of just crossing those lines, and because he's looking to the left, you know, it's like, what's he looking at? He's got a smile on his face, I think, and I think it's because his lady is just off the picture to the left. As I said, just before I missed them having a quick smooch. So this one here was one of my favourite shots from on a holiday, I tried to get to this area before the sun got too low, and I just got it in time. If I'd have waited another couple of minutes, that would have just gone behind this bit here. So I was really glad that I got it just in time. And the sky was so furiously red and orange, it just looked incredible. That's one thing about photography, is that especially landscapes, people that don't do photography don't go out and hunt these things necessarily. I mean, you may be different, maybe you do go out and hunt these things, look for these beautiful scenes. It's one of the things I love about photography, is that you can find beauty in everything. And I think even if you shot this on a phone, it would look cool, because of the colour. You wouldn't be able to blow it up and print it anywhere near as big as a camera like what I'm using, but you capture the essence. And I'm just going to show you one last photograph. This one here is a red sunset, and it's one that I really like. This is one of my favourite pictures. I suppose that's why I'm leaving it till last. It's just the colour really that I love, and rather than it being a view like I talked about earlier, this is a landscape, because you've got this little bit of seaweed at the front, and it just adds some level of detail that you just wouldn't see if you were at the wrong perspective. So it's one that I really like. I might get this one printed on perhaps a canvas, something like that. So I really hope that you've enjoyed this little video. It's been fun making, actually. It's nice to show the world, I say the world, the ASMR world, my photography. And I hope maybe it's inspired you to go out and take some pictures yourself. If you do put some pictures up or something, like on Flickr or Instagram or something, then drop me a link in the comments box. I'd love to have a look. So, signing off. Take care. See you soon. Bye bye.